All right, today we're doing emotional skills for kids, helping them thrive. We'll cover teaching your kids to communicate emotions, how to react to others' big emotions, and learning co-regulation with your child. I'm Chelsea, and I'm a behavior specialist and a parent, and I understand that life gets hectic. I help families find what matters to them, even when life isn't going as planned. I have an office here in Manteca, and I see clients at my office by video call and sometimes in their homes. I also have a Quirky Kids Social Club, ages 7 through 10, that we got started, and it's on Mondays at 4:30 right now. And I'm in network with Blue Shield, Anthem Blue Cross, United Healthcare, and Aetna, and I've got openings in my schedule starting in April. Today we're going to cover the takeaways I want everyone to go home with is teaching your kid to communicate emotions, reacting to others' big emotions, and learning co-regulation skills. We're going to rewind to session 5 and remind ourselves that thriving requires sensory regulation. Part of dysregulation is you don't see all the options that might make you feel better. And then when you're a kid, and a lot of adults, we don't have those options as well-established skills in our toolbox. So we have to learn them and then practice them in order to use them. Coping skills are not only 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a deep breath, go get a drink of water, or listening to music. Coping skills are better behaviors. So we talked about this in session 5 as well. They may include traditional coping skills, or they may be something that's more specific to you as the individual. And the little disclaimer, we're talking about emotions and relationships today in general terms. All relationships have specific strengths and challenges. So these are a starting point, but they're not meant to be specific advice for specific situations. Then if you have questions or comments, you can type them in the chat or hold them till the end and we can get to them at the end. So today, thoughts are neutral. So we can detach from the good or bad from the thought. And we often grow up thinking that thoughts are good or bad, like, oh, I don't like that person. That's really only a challenge, or maybe not the best thought to have if you act differently towards that person based on that thought. But shifting to a mindset of thoughts are neutral, it creates a space between us having the thought and then choosing what action to take. And it also helps when we're approaching teaching our kids what to do with thoughts that they have, to frame it to us that our kid is not a good or bad thought thinker. They're just, a thought's just passing through their head, and we get to teach them what to do with that thought. So a neutral thought example is your child shares with you that they thought this person at the store was annoying. And your first reaction is, that's not nice. You don't know what was happening to that person. You never know what happened earlier in the day to the person to make them act that way. That's fine. Your likely intention is you taught your kid to have empathy and not judge others. But what your kid is likely hearing is, you thought the person was annoying and you should not have thought that. Your thoughts need to be private, even with me. Because if you're going to get scolded for sharing a thought, why share the thought with parent? A reframe is your kid says that the person at the store was annoying, and you say, thanks for sharing that with me. It sounds like the person's voice was louder than you expected in the store. You can usually, with your own kid, figure out why they thought the person was annoying and then reframe it like that. When what your child hears in that situation is, I hear you saying you thought the person was annoying. And then you added some neutral observation about what the actual challenge was. And usually it's something unexpected. Like, something that's annoying is usually something we're not expecting. And you taught your kid that because thoughts and emotions are pretty much the same thing at the start of the thought and the start of the emotion, the thought is valid, and so is the emotion of being annoyed. It's allowed. You're allowed to feel and think what you want. And by framing that maybe the person's voice was louder than you expected, you're teaching that thoughts and emotions are dependent on the present moment. the environment, and biological factors. So it's not that the person was annoying, it's just the voice was not expected. So my annoyance can pass when I'm not holding on to, I shouldn't have that thought. Oh man, why is she so annoying? And that tends to pass. So if we can make a neutral observation of how we're feeling in the moment, the thought will pass, the emotion will pass. What you resist persists. The harder you fight against something, the more it's going to be in your mind, the more it will be in your mind. If you can accept in the present moment that something is uncomfortable or something is aggravating or you're upset, it will pass quicker because you're accepting it, you're observing it, and you're letting it go. Or you're taking that better behavior and engaging in the coping skills that you need to do in order to let it go or deal with whatever is next. So reacting to others' big emotions, we're supposed to be our kids' soft place. Most of us want to be our kids' soft place. And holding the space for their emotions and thoughts, even when you are uncomfortable about it, is the first step. We don't want, most of us do not want our kids to be uncomfortable. We don't want our kids to be mean or have unpleasant thoughts. That's not life. That's not reality. And we can separate that by acknowledging and accepting that your kids' emotions are separate from your own, always, period. And if you practice noticing the present moment alone and with your child, you can start to create that space between your thoughts and emotions and the action that you choose. So really creating observing a situation and looking at it in a neutral, like third-party lens is the initial coping skill, because you're creating space to decide what to do next. Regulation, there's the cliche, put your oxygen mask on first. There's really no better example of what regulation looks like than the cliche airport, airplane flight attendant. You got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help your kid. Labeling the emotion and the thought, especially if you're seeing your kid have a big emotion, you're probably going to get into some big emotion of your own. So labeling the thought and emotion, labeling the environment, like, okay, my neck's a little tight, the lights are kind of bright, and my kid's being super loud and maybe a little bit, in my opinion, mean. And then you can take steps to feel better and let that emotion pass. So if you're already on edge or you're not in the best space to try to teach your kid empathy, we're just going to observe. We're going to observe our own, or maybe turn the lights down, maybe take an Advil, or maybe just say, we can talk about that later. I hear what you're saying, and we can talk about that later. You're creating that space in between your own thoughts and your own actions. Co-regulation is you are creating the soft space for your child to come and join you. So this is where you label your thoughts and your emotions and you model it. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit stressed right now. And you just say it out loud, and you just say it in a neutral tone. Yeah, I don't know, the light's kind of bright and it's kind of hot in here. And then you pause. And if your kid responds in any way, you go, oh, that's a good one. Or, oh, okay, I see. Keep it simple and neutral. And then you model the environment and biological sensations you're experiencing, which, like I said, is kind of hot or bright. And you pause. If your kid responds, same thing. Or they're probably going to respond with something else. Yeah, and I'm hungry. And you go, oh, me too. You keep it simple and neutral. If they don't respond, you're not going to require it. You're just modeling the steps you're taking to regulate yourself. And that creates the invitation for your child to join that soft place that you're creating. And then when you model the steps to feel better and letting the emotion pass, your own biology is probably going to signal that you're safe again. So, oh, my heartbeat was going kind of fast. It's slowing down. You pause, and if your kid responds, like it's a cycle, the same thing. Good one. Or thanks for hearing me. If they just nod or something, because biological factors are one of the last things for kids to be able to label because they're not observable to anybody but themselves. And then you're going to keep it simple and neutral. So that pause is an invite for your kid to join. It is not a requirement to join. And you're okay because your energy and your affect is going to change. When you are regulating, you will be visibly regulated to your kid. And I have a lot, this was a shorter topic today. I have a lot on the functions of behavior. This is a kind of a wrap up session on all of the things that we learned about why we do what we do, the emotional toolbox, the skills toolbox, and how to determine what a better behavior is. It all comes down to us. Like, we are the ones who can see our kids from outside their own bodies. We're the ones that can take all of the stuff that we've learned from being a behavior detective and figure out why they're doing what they're doing. And then we can model, even if we're not specifically experiencing the same thing, we can model, say they're trying to escape homework. We could say, oh, I kind of don't want to do the dishes. I'm kind of noticing that makes me grouchy. And then maybe they'll join and say, oh, I don't want to do my homework. It's like, oh yeah, I get that. And then, oh, I need to cook some dinner. So, and I want to watch TV later. So I'm going to do the dishes, but I'm going to play a song that I like. And then your kid might say, oh, can I listen to music on my headphones? And you say, oh yeah, that's a good one. And then say, oh, I feel a little bit better. I feel like a little bit better about doing that because I'm looking forward to watching my show. And your kid might say, yeah, I'm going to play Minecraft when I'm done with my homework. And then you've taught that co-regulation. Even if you really weren't dreading the dishes, you modeled what a task that you didn't want to do was, and you helped them work through that without a lecture. It was very natural. It felt collaborative to your child, guarantee it. And now we're moving on with our night. And this takes practice. This is a muscle that we have to practice, the mindfulness piece. And again, you can check out sessions 1 through 5. And then if you need anything, let's connect. And thanks for joining this morning.